Joining me right now is former Reagan Budget Director David Stockman to talk more about it. David, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
What do you think of the tax proposal out of the Trump administration?
Well, I think it's a one-page, $7.5 trillion wish list that has no chance of being enacted and is pretty irresponsible this late in the game.
Now, wait a second. How do you put a $7.5 trillion price tag on it when it hasn't been scored and they don't even know what deductions they're taking in or out? How could you actually put a charge on it when you don't even know what's in it?
Well, more or less you can say that the corporate rate at 15%, the pass-through rate on all unincorporated businesses at 15% will roughly cost $4 trillion. Doubling $4 trillion. Doubling the standard deduction will cost over $1 trillion. Getting rid of the alternative minimum tax will cost nearly $1 trillion.
But even the Committee for a Responsible Budget said this plan can cost anywhere from $3 to $7 trillion. So,
yeah.
like, that's a $4 or $5 trillion gap there. I mean, nobody is putting a price tag on it.
No, they said it was $7.5 trillion. I'm part of it.
They said between 3 and 7.
No, what they said, I'm part of that committee, so I know. What they said is the gross cost is $7.5 trillion. Maybe they can earn back $2 trillion through loophole closings and base broadening. My argument is, after they ruled out charitable contributions, which they did, after they ruled out home mortgages, which they did, after the Congress has said we won't touch the health care exclusion, which is $200 billion a year, it's logical that they're not going to take away your IRAs, 401ks, and employer pension preferences. That's another $200 billion. When you go through the math, there is no $2 billion that this Congress and this Republican Party will even remotely be able to put together.
Putting the debate over how much it costs aside, Stephen Mnuchin and Gary Cohn have both said very clearly and adamantly that they believe growth will pay for some of this. You say?
Well, growth always helps, but what they're failing to realize, what I learned in the 1980s, is there's more growth built in to the baseline forecast, rosy scenario from the CBO, than you're ever going to achieve in the real world, even with tax reduction. Rosy scenario, which is the current 10-year baseline, assumes 30% more nominal GDP and wage growth per year than we've actually had in the last 10 years. The White House, Gary Cohn, was assuming 70% more. In other words, 5% nominal growth rather than the 3 that we've had. So I say we'll be lucky to get what's already there. We need to have tax reform, but you're going to have to pay for it, and you're going to have to get a majority coalition to support it, and I don't see where that comes from.
What about paying for part of this in another part of the economic policy from the Trump administration? Because this debate over a border adjustment tax, most people will say it's not going to be there. We're not going to get the votes. You're not going to be able to raise revenue within this tax plan, but maybe we'll do a reciprocal tax or an import tax in the trade portion of the economic story.
Well, I think you either need a BTA, a BAT, border adjustment tax.
Well, that's not making it in the tax plan.
Or a VAT. You've got to have a major new revenue
in the
source
tax plan.
In the tax plan, or sweeping entitlement reforms, which I would say is the first choice, but Trump has taken them off the table. Now, we have to look at the numbers. There's $10 trillion of new deficits built in over the next 10 years under current policy with rosy scenario economics. Now, if you're going to try to lay $2, $4, $6 billion of tax cuts on top of that, $1 trillion of defense increases, $1 trillion of infrastructure, the other things like veterans and so forth that he wants to raise, you are heading for a fiscal calamity. And that's why they can't, and this is the key thing, they can't pass a 10-year budget resolution that you have to get reconciliation. And without reconciliation, there's no tax bill.
They don't get votes.
And without a tax bill, Wall Street is stranded high and dry.
So explain that, David, because in terms of doing it during reconciliation, when you only need the 51 votes, what's the promise that you make? That you can't add to the debt after 10 years?
That's basically true. Now they could.
So you have to plan that there's no addition to the debt after 10 years, but you could swallow the debt for the first 10 years.
Well, you could if you could pass it, but my point is that you have to pass the resolution first, and that means you would have to get the Freedom Caucus, the conservative Republicans, the Republican Study Group in the House to vote for a 10 to 15 trillion increase in the national debt over the next 10 years. That's what they're going to try to do in June. They won't get it done.
Well, the debt did double under President Obama in 8 years, from 10 to 20 trillion.
Yeah, because President Obama was all for more debt. There was a Democratic majority.
Right.
Most
he said,
of the time,
no problem. Interest rates are at rock bottom levels. Bring on the debt.
This is a new world.
Yeah.
The sheriff in town is the Freedom Caucus. We learned that on Obamacare repeal and replace.
Absolutely.
I think that's wonderful. And they are not going to go for another doubling of the national debt from 20 to 40 trillion.
And I think that the Senate is the same. I think the Senate moderates are also saying, look, we need some revenue raise here because we need it to be revenue neutral. Now, the Wall Street Journal today is reporting that calculating what middle-class families will pay is close to impossible. I want to get your take on this because the president's tax plan has not provided details for personal exemptions or the size of the tax brackets. They want to cut the number of brackets from 7 to 3 to make it simpler. What do you think about this? We don't know what the cutoff, though, in terms of who's going to make 25%, who's going to pay 35%, who's going to pay 10%.
I think the individual tax cut is a mistake. It's today a rich man's tax. It's not like 1981. We have indexing. There's no bracket creep. Today, 6 million tax filers out of 150 million pay half the income tax, and about 20% of them pay 75. If you take the bottom 110 million tax filers, they pay less than 10% of the income tax. So we're at a point today where we should be cutting what people pay. That's the payroll tax.
Yeah.
160 million people pay that, 15% employer-employee. That's the job killer, and that's the take-home pay killer, and they're barking up the wrong tree.
So where should they be barking then? The corporate rate?
The corporate rate, we should get rid of the corporate tax. It's a stupid tax. It can't be collected in this world of mobile capital and technology, and they move the accounting structures. So you ought to get rid of that. You ought to put in place a consumption tax or a value-added tax. And
but that hits everybody.
Yes, and
that's what it's intended.
And use it to pay for a sweeping payroll tax reduction that would put money in the pay envelope of the worker in Indiana and Wisconsin and Western Pennsylvania and so forth who voted for Trump.
It looks like the corporate tax rate is not going away, obviously. The president came out with this idea of 15%, but what I'm hearing is that Congress is much more around 20%. They're closer to 20, and it could even be 25%, by the way, but I suspect they agree to 22%.
I think you might be right about that, and it's a step forward. I would support that. It's not going to, fire up the economy in some great leaps of growth. Well, it is
way down from 35.
Yeah, but the actual average tax paid today, effective tax, is 22 or 23%, and the Fortune 500 or the S&P companies pay about 13%, and most of them don't pay any. It won't
be that once they take away all the deductions. It won't be 20.
They won't be able to take away any of the deductions. There is not a political consensus to do that. That's the problem with paying for the rate reduction.
So you think we're going to have the kind of fight we saw for health care over this tax plan?
Oh, but it'll be worse because they'll never get off the ground. And health care didn't get off the ground. They passed that in the House as a throwaway gesture to say they've done something. It's dead before arrival in the Senate. They'll never see the light of day of the House bill. And secondly, the Freedom Caucus says if you bring it back with 1 comma change, we're going to vote it down. So the real fact of life is there is going to be no Obamacare repeal. There is going to be no tax cut. There's going to be a massive political conflagration over what has happened in the last few days. Comey and this crazy inquisition on Russia meddling that's underway today. It's going to take the government into complete dysfunction and partisan rancor. Wow.
David, we'll have to be watching that. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for your happy day commentary. David Stockman joining us there. That's great. Thank you. Coming up.